welcome to Shrubby Buddies Podcast, where we talk all things horticulture right from the heart of Zone 6B. So grab a drink, step into the garden, and grow with us as we talk plants, tools, tips, tricks, with a healthy dose of comedy and banter. Whether you're crushing it in the landscape or just trying to keep the one plant alive, we've got you covered. And as always, love you harder plus two. Hey, Shrubby Buddies, and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I am Matty C, joined with Timmy D in Studio 6B.
Hey.
Tim, how are you this evening?
Good.
Worn out?
Worn out.
Me too.
It's that time of year.
We keep harping on it. It's that time of year, but we've had a busy 2 days at work. We've got this big 30-foot by 40-foot annual mosaic, as you call it, mosaic, but this big planting that we're doing for the memorial tournament in Dublin that involves, I don't even know how many annuals. Do you know offhand?
I don't know the number, but I'm going to need to find that out, add my numbers up tomorrow, because we're going to ask that tomorrow during our little interview.
It's in the thousands.
Oh, for sure.
It's in the blazing sun. So we're sunburnt. It is.
And it's strange times here now in central Ohio, because it's like cold as shit at night. Like we've like gone to sleep with the windows cracked because it's nice. And by the time I wake up in the morning, it's like about 40 degrees and I'm freezing.
Yeah.
And then so I get bundled up, go to work. And then as soon as I get like outside, it's like 70 all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And hot and sunny. So it's just, that's what we have here.
It's weird for sure.
Yeah.
But we're doing this planting on it's a 30-foot by 40-foot on the side of a really steep hill, which is super inconvenient.
Yeah.
It's in an area that was sod a week ago. So you can only imagine how compacted the ground is. I mean, we tilled it up some, the best we could, and added some
Yes, you did.
soil and compost into it to try and help amend it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that helps some, but it's not easy planting.
And then on top of that, it's situated on this little sliver of green space between a on ramp and an off ramp to a pretty major thoroughfare in Columbus.
Thoroughfare.
And so it's like noisy, and there's a lot of cars whooshing by. A lot of Jake brakes going on the trucks.
Yeah, lots of Jake brakes for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of like real fun things about it. Although when we're done, it's going to be pretty darn cool.
Yeah, it'll be cool for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're whooped. Just been crawling around on our hands and knees for the past 2 days.
Boy, my knees are sore.
And yesterday was a busy day for me. Worked and then went to work again. I think it ended up being close to a 14-hour work day for me.
Jesus.
Coming off of a Mother's Day weekend at the nursery, which
if you don't know,
it was
Mother's Day at the nursery.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. Saturday could have been better for us. Started off kind of cool and cloudy Saturday morning, which definitely hurt. Picked up some Saturday afternoon. Sunday was pretty good. Would have loved to have seen Sunday like afternoon the entire weekend. But nonetheless, lots of hanging baskets flying off the shelf.
Yeah. I don't work at a garden center, but we drove by our local garden center a number of times this weekend, and it was just a complete shit show.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
I crazy the amount of people. I didn't even know that many people. I see the cars could fit inside this garden center. But they fit. But yeah, I thank you for all your help with this mosaic project over the last couple of weeks, because I know this is just one of those things where it was my idea, and I got things rolling, and I had a nice, I drew up a design and did all that kind of easy stuff, if you will. And then, you're over here ripping the sod up and tilling it and, calling Slinger Johnson to get the soil out there for me. And so I appreciate that. I really do appreciate you kind of getting that, all that behind the scenes stuff done so we could get this planting started.
Taking the bull by the horns, bub.
I know you do.
I try.
You do.
I try.
Yeah. But it wasn't all bad. You know, we're out there, we're listening to some tunes, talking with some friends. So, you know,
yeah, not all bad.
Yeah.
Knees are just bum.
Yeah.
43-year-old me is screaming right now.
Yeah.
So before we dive into this week's episode, though, quick little shout out because I said I would do it. But Brian Schenniger,
Oh yeah.
did a really close friend of Tim's did a nice landscape at his house. Not the whole entire house, but it looked like the front of the house. And when he texted, it was a Shrubby Buddies inspired landscape. So he ripped everything out and started fresh.
Yeah.
And they planted a nice little garden out front with some shrubs and lots of perennials and a nice little ornamental tree and
some stone, like some large stones,
big stones like accent boulders.
I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah. So yeah, great Shanny, great work. Glad that we are inspiring people.
Yeah, and kind of a side nugget on that, when he was at the garden center shopping for some of that, he was wearing his Shrubby Buddies sweatshirt.
Okay.
And he said multiple times customers were asking him questions, thinking that he either worked there or had all the knowledge.
That's hilarious. So
he said he had to take off the sweatshirt 5 minutes in so people would leave him alone.
It's funny you say that, because yesterday I was at Acorn Farms picking some stuff up, and you know, I go in and all the girls inside are like, "Oh, it's Matt Guthrie, Shrubby Buddies, blah blah blah."
They love him.
Which is great.
They love him in there,
which is great. But then I hopped into the Kubota with a new girl that just started there, like, I don't know, 6 weeks ago or something. Never met her before. And we start cruising back to pick up shrubs, and she looks at me and she's like, "Are you the one that has the podcast Shrubby Buddies?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know about that?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know. Everyone here talks about it." So
that's cool.
So that's
cool.
kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anywho,
cool.
Little kind of similar thing there, but
that's fun.
Anyways, this week's episode, we wanted.
Wait.
What?
Before we dive in,
what?
I was trying to get you to do the music when I was like, we were listening to tunes out there planting today.
We were listening to tunes. So there was a song that I hadn't heard in a while that really struck me, and it's kind of been in my head a little bit. But I walked up to you and I was like, "Hey, dude, play like a Creed on Spotify, a Creed playlist or music like Creed." I don't know why. I just thought it was funny because I hadn't heard Creed in a long time. I'm not a Creed fan by any means, but
the Creed songs came on and I was digging it.
Yeah, but it was all of the other music with it. But they played Candlebox, Far Behind, and that's the song of the week. Candlebox, Far Behind.
And that got you going, did it?
Yeah, it was just one that I was like, man, I need to listen to that song sometime.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that Creed mix was good for a group.
Yeah,
it's just music that kind of everybody knows.
Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Collective Soul,
Third Eye Blind.
What else do they have? Live, Creed, Candlebox, a little bit of everything. Nirvana,
Smashing Pumpkins,
a little bit of everything. Yeah. So yeah, it was really good. Cake. Bruno was jamming out to some Cake.
Yeah, I have to get a Cake album.
Yeah,
I need a Cake album.
So
we need to get Cake. We need to get a Cake song on our Shrubby Buddies playlist too.
And eat cake.
Oh yeah.
Too.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this week's episode, kind of piggybacking off of Mother's Day with selling all of the annuals and our big annual planting in Dublin, and the fact that we have annual flowers coming out of our ears at the shop, and the fact that we have a shitload of annuals to plant elsewhere besides this big one that we're doing. We want to talk about annuals today.
Yeah.
Talk about,
just provide a little bit of advice on arranging annuals, using annuals, some annuals that we love, just kind of some well-rounded advice on annual flowers
and
foliage plants,
and maybe open your minds to some different things that you can do with your annual displays.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
Anyways, so Tim's got all the notes for this.
So I'm going to drive this bus.
Yeah, you drive the bus. So we're note people. So when we did the audio, you couldn't see the notes when it was audio only. But now that we're doing video, there are plenty of times where it's just the notes keep us kind of better organized.
Yeah. I
and
mean,
on
none of
topic.
this is scripted, and the notes are very basic, just
Yeah.
like bullet points, but just to keep us on track and
Yeah.
because we can go off track pretty easy, can't we?
Yeah, we can for real.
Um,
But yeah, so I don't have the notes because my phone is recording the wide angle shot here. Yeah, and until someone donates us like, I don't know, $1,000 or a couple $1,000 for some 4K cameras, we're working on doing that so we can have like a more permanent setup in here. So
well, it and just getting back to the annuals, it's been a weird year. It's been a weird late April into May because we've had a lot of fluctuation in temperature, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
We had some very warm spells and some very cold spells, and it is now May 12th, and we're expecting another night tonight that's going to be 40 degrees. Another one the night after, and I think like the next one and last night. So it's very strange to be having these cold nights by this time.
Yeah, thankfully these annuals though are starting to harden off to that some. So
yeah, like we haven't lost anything. We've definitely noticed a little bit of burn on some of them, but nothing that they can't overcome. Nothing that's killed them.
Little
completely.
sunshine and fertilizer won't help.
Yeah, and it's not like we're not having frosts or anything like that or freezes, but usually we're way out of this by mid-May. We're done with these types of temperatures. So it's been strange, but great time of year now to be thinking about planting annuals, whether that's containers that you have on your front porch or something that you're doing in the ground, a big display in the ground like we were talking about earlier. A lot of ways, hanging baskets. There's a lot of ways you can use annuals, and you can very easily buy these pre-made baskets. But if you consider yourself a creative type, putting together your own displays is a lot of fun. It's the chance for you to kind of be an artist, but they're annual, so it's not permanent. You do it for a season, you figure out what you like and what you want to do again and what didn't work, and you'll never try that again. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So first we'll start with color, because obviously with annual plants, that's the big thing. Compared to like a perennial and shrub planting, we're doing the annuals because they're providing color from like May all the way through September and even October, between frosts.
Yeah, they're kind of complementing the perennials and shrubs. I always explain to people at the garden center that the annuals do a real good job of like bridging the gap, if you will. Like, we try and plant perennial gardens that offer some sort of interest or flower through the year. But sometimes there are those gaps, where things aren't blooming as heavy now, but in a few weeks they will. And those annuals really help bridge kind of that short time period between the time that your perennial garden's kind of shifting into its next phase of life.
So. Yeah, because many of these will be blooming from start to finish, the whole season.
Yeah.
So color is very important with the annuals. So taking into consideration just your palette of colors, some things you can do to make sure you're putting together an eye-catching display is using complementary colors. That's one way.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what that means, Google the color wheel, and things and colors that tend to be across from each other on the color wheel, like directly across the circle, are complementary colors. So you've got like a yellow and purple are complementary, and blue and orange are complementary. And then one of my favorites as of late are like magenta and chartreuse.
Yeah.
So these are colors that work really good together, and they each lift each other up. So they help bring out the best in one another.
And in the fashion world, that might be like clashing colors, but in the horticulture world, it's it's really good to have that.
It is. So. It's colors that work really well together. And honestly, when it comes to flowers, at the end of the day, you can't go wrong. Yeah. You put together the colors that make you happy, but complementary colors are one way that you can strategically put together colors that work well with one another. Another type of color scheme we like to use is color blocking.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
So I would assume that when you say color blocking, you're talking about like colors that are all right next to each other on the color wheel, right?
Yeah.
I would assume that that's what you're okay.
Yeah, and so like you're saying, like groupings of warm colors or cool colors, or even just various degrees and shades of the same color.
Yeah, so warm colors, cool colors. So you could do like blues and purples together, or yellows and oranges, or oranges and reds, or like you had just mentioned, different shades of the same color. So that would be more like monochromatic. So
yes,
you would pick like, I want an orange themed annual display. So you would get like different shades of orange. So that may be a bold, bright orange, like a big orange marigold, but then maybe something like a more soft, muted,
or a rusty orange,
or rusty orange,
coleus
or something that's
orange.
even like a kind of salmony orange color.
Right.
Yeah. So that would be like monochromatic.
Yeah, and I did this last year in the planters in Dublin. I did the Ninja Turtle theme. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So I did a blue, a purple, a red, and an orange. And I just blocked. So I used like 3 or 4 things in each of those, but they were all, shades of orange in the orange one. But then I set things off a little bit with whites and silvers, and that's another thing you can use with color. Like, don't forget about whites and silvers, because those things can really help, liven your colors.
Yeah.
They help just bring everything out. So
you love your whites and silvers.
I do. I do. I'm a white and silver kind of guy.
I know. That's like the hot thing right now too.
Whites and silvers?
Yeah.
Well, and kind of in the same...
And blacks.
But so kind of in the same idea is using foliage color. So a lot of what we were just talking about was flower color, but also this works with foliage too. And especially if you put a lot of annuals together that have either sparse flowers or small flowers, and you just still see a lot of green, it's really important to get foliage plants in there. Like
Coleus is
probably the poster child for it.
Coleus is probably the poster child because it comes in so many different colors. It can hit on I wouldn't say all of those color schemes, but definitely the warm and hot colors, and the chartreuses and the yellows. But yeah, Coleus would being one, and they come in solid colors. They come in multicolored, smooth leaves, scalloped edges on the leaves, like all of the above, all different sizes even. So yeah, Coleus is a great one.
Yeah, Coleus is a big one, and like foliage color is pretty in annuals is pretty common to find in burgundy, purple, black, chartreuse, orange, red, and then like you said, stripes, mottled leaves, variegated leaves. I mean, you can work in a lot of these colorful leaves to kind of break up the green. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But Coleus probably the poster child.
There's like the bronze leafed cannas, which are great. Those add that. There's a lot of like
there's colocasias and there's colocasias and alocasias that you can use that have, black colored foliage or that real dark colored foliage, and some of them are variegated and things. So
the other one that I know you don't use a lot of, but I do, is Alternathera.
Yeah.
Joseph's coat, I think, is the common name, but there's a chartreuse one, there's a couple different purple ones, there's some variegated ones, pink and red. So that's another one I love for foliage color that's a little bit smaller and more delicate than Coleus.
Yeah, you love your
I do.
Alternathera.
I do love my Alternathera.
Tridescantia is another good one.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What about textures?
Yeah, you got to have textures. Textures are very important, and it's just like in the perennial garden too, right? Like you have to have chunky foliage and strappy foliage, and you need to have big flowers and small flowers. All these textures working together to kind of create the scene. It's the same thing in an annual planting, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that there's a lot of good grasses that you can use in your annual plantings that are going to give you that kind of grassy, flowy texture. Some of the grasses are going to be real fine, flowy grasses. Some of them are going to be a little bit thicker bladed, a little bit more stout, if you will, more erect. But also,
I love a good erect grass.
You're also going to get some different foliage colors with the grass.
For sure.
You can nail a couple different things there. You can get, blues and yellows or burgundies in some of the ornamental grasses. So
yeah. Or like orange or chartreuse with some of the calyxes.
Or rusty, like the there's red rooster,
prairie fire,
and there's another one too, like Bronco or something.
Bronco.
Is it Bronco?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
I was gonna say bronze peacock, but that's a Regersia. So I've been really into using grasses in the annual plantings, and I think many years ago you showed me some photos of some planters down at Millennium Park, if I'm not mistaken, in Chicago.
Okay.
Like
probably
maybe Austin designed them or something.
Maybe so. Yeah, but probably.
What I noticed is like, man, those grasses really help like
tie it all together.
It ties it together, but also breaks it up. It's hard to explain. It just does something that's hard to explain. So I've really been trying to work in a lot more of these fine textures.
Sometimes tying together is breaking it up, especially if it's a lot of the same foliage shape and texture, maybe different flower color. It just kind of looks like a blob of color, right?
Yeah.
Like bloop, right into the pot. But the grasses break that up some, kind of break up parts of that planter and add that texture in there. And that is kind of what brings it all together. So
yeah. And with texture and color and a lot of different things, it's important to consider how your annual displays are going to be viewed. So whether it's something that's going to be, we have this a lot in Dublin, right? So there's areas where we plant with annuals that are just strictly driven by.
Yeah.
People are driving by. It's rare that someone's stopping to look at these things up close versus things that people are only walking by because they're in areas where people walk. And you have to use different colors and textures depending on that. Like you can't use tiny little dainty flowers in drive-by beds because you're not going to see them.
Like cigar plant or Kufia.
Yeah, Kufia is a great example. And I made that mistake once.
Yeah, really cool annual when you are able to stand next to it to see it and enjoy it. But driving by at 35 miles per hour from 15 feet away,
does nothing.
It's very insignificant.
Right. Right. And that's one that attracts hummingbirds too. And again, when you're driving, you're not going to notice that. And bees. So just something to consider how your planters and your displays will be viewed.
Very good. Also, something to think about. So we talk colors, how to use colors together, textures with grasses and different things like that, foliage color, but we talk about using all these different things. Light requirements is huge. Water requirements is huge. So before you even get into planting all of this stuff or going out to the garden center and buying it, you need to decide you need to decide, is this going to be in full sun? Is this going to be in full shade? Is this going to be in part shade, morning sun, afternoon shade?
We can call these the cultural requirements of the plant.
Yeah. And then also something to think about too is, say you want a lantana and you want to plant lantana. You're not going to want to plant lantana in with stuff that's going to have higher watering demands. So lantana is a wonderful annual, but it doesn't require a ton of watering once established. It really thrives in that hot, dry, desert-like, the desert-like soil.
And so on the opposite token, something like a juncus or a cypress is also a great sun-loving annual that provides tons of cool texture.
And cypress, like tut plant, king tut, all of
little
those.
Tut.
Yeah.
But the water requirements on them versus lantana are just completely different.
Yeah. So one term that you'll hear a lot when creating planters and things is thriller, filler, and spiller. something tall in the middle, like your King Tut plant, and then your filler may be, we'll just use lantana would be like a good filler type plant. Then your spiller may be, I don't know, sweet potato vine or just something that's going to creeping Jenny that's going to fall out of the side.
Or even a petunia or something.
Or a petunia. So you wouldn't want to use the King Tut plant with a lantana as your thriller and filler.
Right, because if you're watering this planter enough to keep that cypress happy, your lantana is going to suffer.
Yeah.
The roots are going to rot, and it's just not going to have vigor. At the same token, if you're keeping it on the drier end for that lantana to be successful, that cypress is going to turn brown, and it's not going to be what you want it to be.
Yeah.
So it's very important to consider the water needs when you're planting things, whether it's in the same bed or in the same planter, because you can't just water a planter a little bit over here but keep it dry over here.
Yeah.
That moisture is gonna be all the way through. So you need to keep that in mind. And if you are trying to do planters that have higher water needs, there is a product that you can mix in with your soil. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Maybe you've got it in your head, but it starts as little crystals that absorb water, almost think like what a diaper would do.
Yeah.
How
it's the same sort of material.
Same sort of material, and that helps this product, which you can find at all the garden centers.
I think the stuff that you would see at the garden centers, we buy it in larger quantities, and I don't know what it's called there, but just Soil Moist is literally all it holds, like 100 times its weight in water. You can just mix that into the soil. Another one too that would be more natural is core pith, or like coconut fiber.
Okay.
Also retains good water. So you can add like coconut fiber into your soil, and that will help retain some moisture. Not to the level that Soil Moist does, but it will help some.
Very cool.
Yeah. But also with watering stuff, a really important thing to do is use a good, we're talking soil and water stuff, is use a good soil like potting mix, something that is going to hold some moisture but is going to be well drained. So you have this moist, well drained soil. You don't want to go out and buy like cheap bags of topsoil where the water's just going to sit on top and never drain through.
Needs to be a potting mix.
Yeah, it needs to be like a good, well drained potting mix, but something that's still going to hold and retain some of that moisture.
And I kind of I kind of put the potting mixes in two categories. There's the ones that are preloaded with fertilizer, and they're generally far more expensive. And then there's the ones that are not, that are just the organic materials that make that up. And that's totally up to you.
Yeah.
As the
either
consumer.
one works. Yeah.
Either one works. If you want to control your own fertilizer though, and you do the water soluble thing, or you use a slow release, then maybe going the cheaper route with the stuff that's not preloaded with fertilizer will benefit you more.
Yeah. We use, what do we use? Bacto?
Do you?
Yeah. No. What do we use at work?
Oh, at work I thought you were talking about Dutch Mill. We use Pro Mix.
At Dutch Mill, we have Fox Farm, Bacto. I'm trying to think of what else. I think we have like Pro Mix, but it's in like more of a how do I want to say it? It's in bags. It's not in the big blocks.
Yeah, the bales.
And it doesn't have all of the fancy colors on the side of the bag or anything like that. I think it's Pro Mix. If it's not, it's very, very similar to the Pro Mix that we use.
That Bacto, the Andersons, that was their big potty mix they carried.
Okay, yeah.
And when the Andersons closed, it's been harder to find bagged Bacto.
Oh, okay.
Baacto.
Yeah. We do have some at the greenhouse. They're in smaller bags, but
okay. Cool. I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah. So yeah, good potting soil. You mentioned fertilizer, ones that don't have it. You can create that same sort of effect that like you would buy Miracle Grow potting mix that's already got the Miracle Grow in it. And you can buy Osmocote or some sort of a slow release fertilizer and just mix it into your soil, or at the time of planting, putting it in the top few inches of the soil when you go to plant. And then also even with the preloaded fertilized soils, or if you're doing your own with the slow release, we still completely recommend watering every 10 to 14 days with the water soluble fertilizer, like an all purpose or a bloom booster, whether that be Jack's fertilizer or Miracle Grow or whatever brand you have. It's typically the blue kind of wet powdery looking stuff you mix into a watering can.
It will make a difference, and you'll notice the difference too shortly after fertilizing. You'll see the growth. And it's funny, we don't recommend much fertilizing for the perennial beds, which we usually talk about.
No, but annuals, you have
different thing. But with the annuals, they're here for a season. You want to get everything out of them that you can. So why not fertilize?
Yeah, and also like the difference. Can you grow annuals without fertilizing? Sure, but the difference between a fertilized annual and an unfertilized annual is like, they're twice as good.
Big
Just
time.
the flowers are more vibrant or more full. The plants are more full and big and green. So, yeah, it's cheap as fertilizer.
Just be careful. Just be careful. Watch your rates on both the water soluble and the slow release, because if you can burn. You can mess up the plants if you don't mix right. So just be careful.
Yeah, I mean, you go a little hot though, it's not going to hurt.
A little
anything.
hot.
But not going to hurt nothing.
But if you misread, remember, I can go to this. But one time I mixed a chemical.
Okay.
Remember, I don't want to get into all the details.
Yeah.
But I mixed that chemical at a much higher rate than I was supposed to.
Yeah, and not a cheap chemical either.
No, an expensive one.
A very expensive chemical.
It worked.
I would say.
It killed the weeds.
Yeah. Was that a pre-emergent?
It was.
Yeah. Nice.
Another culture requirement that, wait a minute, growth habit. Oh, sorry. And we're off cultural habits. We're on growth habits. Another growth habit that is important is whether you're using something that's got an aggressive, fast growth versus something that's slow. So you mentioned lantana earlier.
Yeah.
That's one that gets super aggressive mid to late summer. It really turns on.
But
But before that, it stays pretty small. It still flowers, but it kind of takes a while to take off.
Yeah.
But then you've got something like a petunia that
gangbusters.
just goes gangbusters from start to finish. So think about, if you're planting those two things in the same pot, the ratios of plants that you're using. So, maybe you want to use 3-to-1 lantanas to petunias, because those petunias are just going to grow fast.
Yep.
And if they overtake the lantana may never grow.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
Also consider the growth rate of what you're planting, because you can totally plant aggressive, fast-growing plants with the slower ones, but you need to just make sure, whether you're keeping them separated or changing your ratios, that they don't interfere with one another.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want them to complement one another.
Complement each other. Yeah. What else do we got for growth habits?
Well, we can just put a bow on the thriller, filler, and spiller thing that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I've long been a non-advocate of that term, but I'm coming around, and here's why. I get it. If you're creating a pot and you're very novice at it, it's good to have that kind of guidebook, right? Something that's going to be kind of tall, something that's going to fill up the space, and something that's going to droop over the edge. I just want you to know that you don't have to be in that box if you don't want to be. If you're like, man, I don't want to put a thriller in this, I want this just to be kind of a free-flowing thing, then do that. Like, use your creativity. It's all up to you. This is your annual container.
Yeah, you say that, but if you go back and you look at most of your annual plantings,
I know,
even though when you're designing those, you're not thinking thriller, filler, and spiller, it's so ingrained in your brain that you still just subconsciously,
you're right,
design your pots that way.
And that's why
I need something that's going to be tall in the middle, and then
that's why I've backed off of that a little bit.
So you might not say thriller, filler, and spiller, but I really do think that it's a really, really good formula for people to follow, especially people that are just getting into creating their own pots and things.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
A really good formula to follow. And if you follow that formula and you follow the things that we're telling you with fertilizer, light requirements, watering requirements, things like that, you're probably going to have a pretty nice pot, you know, that looks good.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Thriller,
Okay.
spiller, filler.
Yeah.
It is. It's a good thing, and it's easy to remember.
It is easy.
Do that.
Yeah.
Do that. But if you don't want to do it, it's okay.
I hear you.
The last kind of piece of annual advice before we get into some annuals that we're digging lately, is shade annuals, because just like perennial gardening, I feel like the shade can be difficult, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be difficult. There's plenty of great shade plants for annual displays. Just got to know what they are and how to use them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's common. Like, I know at home, my front porch faces south, but we tuck our containers up under the porch so they get mostly shade. They get very little sun. So, those front porch ones are always shade, and the house sits pretty far back off the street. You need to have things that are bright in there. You want people going down the street to see that. So what are some of your go? Because I know, like, at work in Dublin, everything I do is full sun, but you have a lot of little shade areas.
I do. So I have a lot of shade areas in Dublin. So it's a challenge sometimes to try and mix that stuff up so it's not the same thing every single time. It ends up being the same thing in some areas because it just makes sense. It's like, I just need this area full of color for this one event, so I'm just going to pack it with impatience and call it a day.
That's true, but also, like, if you design a container that just slaps, then you just do it again. Like, why not just do that one again, right?
I suppose you could, or at least
some elements.
At least use elements, or at least keep that in the back burner, photos of it, so you can re-reference those, several years down the road. Right. But so some of the ones, I mean, I'm heavy on begonias typically. So things like dragonwing begonia, begonia bolivensis, which is this kind of really cool, it kind of has these pointed leaves, and it kind of flows, almost weeps over the side of a hanging basket or the side of a pot, and it has these real pretty bell-shaped flowers. Then you can get it into reds and oranges and yellows. What other begonia?
Did you mention Rex begonias?
Rex begonias.
I love Rex begonias for foliage color. Like, that's the thing. Begonias are cool because some of them have really cool flowers, but some of them, it's just all about the foliage.
Yeah, so Rex is a good one. There's a whole line of different Rex begonias. You get them with silver swirls and stripes and polka dots and just, ruffled leaves, all kinds of different stuff.
There's one Rex begonia, and I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but the leaf is like a shiny silver, and and it looks like metal.
Yeah.
I mean, it seriously just looks like metal.
I can't remember the name. I've tried to find it and have struggled. I think I found one similar.
We've found it and used it at home, and it has like a burgundy back to the leaf. But it's a cool.
Begonia cissus, which is a cool vining begonia.
Well, I think the genus is cissus, and it's called vining begonia, but it's the genus is cissus.
That's the genus. Cissus. Okay,
we're just gonna split hairs on that.
Okay.
Matter.
I didn't realize
it looks
that.
a lot like a begonia, though.
But that's a good one that kind of has a similar kind of Rex begonia type leaf, but it's a very fast growing climber. So if you have a shady area with a trellis or an arborway or something that you're trying to get an annual to grow up, that would be a good one. Cissus. What are some other ones? Pegasus begonia, I think, is the PW name. What's
Griffin
Griffin begonia.
Pronounce that. Really cool begonia with these deeply cut.
Yeah, it's like star-shaped kind of leaves.
Almost like a Japanese maple type of leaf shape, but just really big and colorful.
Yeah. So begonias is the big one. Now, a lot of the shade stuff that I use is not so much on flower color, but more on foliage color.
Mm-hmm.
So the begonias, the obvious is impatiens. They're going to do well in the shade. What else do I use?
Ferns. Ferns
Yeah,
are great
Kimberly ferns are
options.
big right now. Macho ferns, asparagus fern, Boston ferns. Like any of those are going to be really good.
There's so many tropicals and indoor type plants that also can be used as shade annuals.
Yeah, so we use a lot, and we've started to use more over the past handful of years. Was it? I used some. Didn't I talk you into using some for your pots downtown? The snake plant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we'll use things like snake plant, cheap philodendrons, like the big leaf philodendrons, some palms. Yeah, snake plant. Snake plant's a good one because you can find them pretty cheap and they grow pretty quick, and they're really a tough plant, if you got them planted in the shade.
A lot of these tropical plants too, not all of them, but a lot of these tropical plants where they grow natively is from the forest floor in like a rainforest where it's very humid, damp, and very low light. And that's why they thrive in low light conditions in your house. And that's why you often need to add humidity to them. But summers, at least here in Ohio and a lot of places here in the eastern part of the United States, is perfect.
Yeah.
Is the perfect amount of humidity for some
warm,
of these
humid
things,
summers.
as long as you're giving them those shade loving ones the shade.
Yeah.
So bringing some of your indoor plants outdoors.
Yeah.
Using them in the shade.
And I did a real cool planting with some snake plant and coleus.
Yeah, you did. I remember that one.
And Persian shield. And Persian shield's another one that we use quite a bit, which I plant everything super tight, so it grows pretty tall. But it's a really cool burgundy and silver kind of purpley, not burgundy, purple and silver.
Metallic.
Yeah, metallic looking plant. Yeah, Persian shield's a really cool one.
It is. And then something that you may not think of, and we've touched on this in prior seasons, but it's using perennials.
Yeah.
In planters. And you can use perennials in any planter, but there's a few perennials that are really tailor-made for shade planters and shade annual displays, right? Something like a heuchera, like a coral bells, because they come in, all these different purples and oranges and reds and silvers and burgundies and blacks and chartreuse, and they hold that foliage color all season. You're not really growing those for the flowers.
Yeah.
Those are great for the shade. And for the same token, you've got something like a hosta with the unique variegated leaves or blue leaves or something that can create just a nice, like chunky, colorful texture in a shade container. And then one that we used a few years ago at home is we used one of the variegated Jacob's ladders.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We bought it at the garden center when it was coming off of its bloom,
but just that texture of the foliage,
and
was it the yellow and green variegation?
I can't remember if it was the white and green or the yellow and green.
Yeah,
but
either
something
way,
like that. And since we were able to keep it really well watered, it didn't like burn out, and it was in the full shade. And that was a great one. And then what's great about these perennials is at the end of the season, instead of pitching them like you would with the annuals, you can find a place for them in your garden.
Yeah, and some of these perennials are tough enough that you could leave them in the pot. And
probably, yeah.
I know I did some pots yesterday for Julia, and in these pots, there was Carl Forrester grass that had come back from last year. There was Allium millennium. There was I'm trying to think of some of the other perennials. I think that there was some agastache in there. So some of these perennials will come back. Not all of them are. I normally, if I'm using a perennial, it's like I'm not leaving it. I'm pulling it out and planting it someplace else or giving it away. But one that you failed to mention there was Carex.
Yeah.
And that's one that we use a lot. So
it gives you that grass-like.
The grass-like
texture.
Some of them are going to be more erect. Some of them will spill over the edge. Whee! There's like the blue zingers, which are going to be more flowy and kind of soften the edge of a pot, or the Everillo, which is a chartreuse that's going to soften the edge of a pot and kind of spill over the edge. But then there's
what's that real curly one, like Ribbon Falls or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. That one's really cool.
That one does.
But then there's some of these other ones like Ice Dance and things that are going to stand up a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit more. But Carex is a good one. Carex is such a cool plant because so many of them will cover a lot of different watering requirements and light requirements. I've got Blue Zinger planted in full dry shade at my house, and it does excellent. You've got Blue Zinger planted in Old Dublin in the blazing sun all day long, and it still does. I don't know if it does quite as well as it does in the shade, but it does well enough.
Does well enough for Carex.
It looks good.
Yeah.
So Carex is another really, really good one that could be used, as well as other perennial grasses that wouldn't necessarily be in the shade, but more in the sun. And that would be like your Carl Forsters or little blue stems.
Oh, for sure. I love using the perennial grasses in like the fall containers.
Yeah. Like panicums for sure. The switch grasses.
And if you're a Central Ohio listener, someone who really does a good job using perennials in containers is Easton Town Center shopping mall.
Okay.
And I know I've always sent you pictures of containers when I'm there with the fam.
I love it.
And I met the people who do that at the Mill Creek booth at Cultivate once. I told them how much I love those planters, but I wish I could remember and I could plug them. But you walk around Easton and there's so many cool containers just full of like yarrow and echinacea and all these cool, and agastache, all these cool perennials, and they do a really good job with that.
And then they kind of fill in the gaps with the annuals, probably, right?
For sure.
That's awesome. I love it. Cool, man.
Well, I don't know where we're at with time, but I want to talk about a couple annuals, a handful, like a couple dozen, whatever. Annuals that we just like are digging lately.
Yeah, let's kind of rapid fire those off a little bit if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just want me to go for it?
Yeah, I mean,
because some of these I'm digging them, and some of them you're digging them, and some of them we're both digging.
Yeah, absolutely. So, why don't you start? What's something you're digging right now?
I love the Salvia Rockin' series for a tall annual. So there's Rockin' Fuchsia, Rockin' Deep Purple, Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes. There's Brent. I think Brent's is a Rockin'. The Golden Delicious. That's a Rockin'. So salvias are a great annual for tons of color, and they attract hummingbirds. So it's just, you get a lot of uses for the salvias.
So one that I'm digging is Gomphrina's.
You do? Oh, yeah. Me too.
Ping Pong Purple is a good one. I really, really like Trufula Pink. And it's kind of like a lot of foliage kind of down around the crown of the plant, or like basal foliage. And then it gets these long kind of wiry stems that come up and just get these kind of like pink or magenta balls on the top of them. Really cool. Similar to the perennial plum drops.
Exactly.
But in an annual form and a brighter color.
Yeah, and it's great how the foliage stays. The foliage is ugly. Let's just throw it out there. But you plant it with some other annuals that are a little taller, and it just kind of pops out, and you don't have to see that basal foliage.
Yeah, I did a planting with it where I had the whole thing was coleus. Yeah. And then it had, all you could see was these pink
I think balls. I helped inspire you for that because I saw it at Duke Gardens at PPA that previous year when I was at PPA in Raleigh.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome how they've got that Gomphrina popping out of that coleus. Yeah. So I've used that trick a few times too.
Mm-hmm.
Ping Pong Purple. That was the most ordered annual this year.
Really?
In Dublin, because I take care of the annual ordering. Not the most biggest quantity, but the most. There's 7 of us that order annuals. I think like 6 people ordered it. 5 or nice. It was the most commonly ordered amongst everybody. So doing something right. One that I stumbled upon this year, and I think it is a newer coleus, is Coleus skeletal. Have you seen this one?
Mm-mm.
It's real small, it's got like the flamethrower series type small leaves, but they're deeply cut like in a fishbone, like a herringbone shape, almost like a skeleton, like a rib cage.
Yeah.
And then they're chartreuse and red. And just a really small, delicate coleus that likes the shade. So I've been digging that one.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Let me see your list here real quick. I'm trying to remember some of
our list.
Our list. What were some of the ones that I had hit on? Bubblegum Pink Supertunia is one that I don't know. It's nothing fancy and it's nothing crazy, but it's just one of those like solid performing petunias where it's like, I don't know what to put in here. Okay, I'm just going to use a bubblegum petunia because it's like, it's bright, it's eye catching. From half a mile away, you can see the pink. Like, there are people that will come into the greenhouse that are like, my driveway's a quarter of a mile long, and I don't like this basket because you can't see these dark purple flowers from the end of the driveway. And they get the, I think it's Above and Beyond, or I think it's the PW mix, but it's full of like these bright pinks, and bubblegum petunias, one of them. And they're like, I can see this from like literally like a quarter of a mile away.
Bubblegum petunia kind of rekindled my interest in petunia.
Yeah.
Because there was a period of time where I was just done with petunias, just because they peter out when it gets really hot and you have to cut them back. And then you have a period of time where there's, no flowers. But the bubblegums typically, like, they push through that.
Yeah.
And they may need a little bit of cutting back, but they're just an excellent performer with that.
Well, yeah, for sure.
And then that's in the Supertunia series. Another one in that Supertunia series that I love is Latte. And if you're listening to me and you grow plants, please grow this, because I have a lot of trouble finding it. And we got a replacement for it last year called Black and White, and it was and it just didn't perform as well as the Latte. The Latte is a proven winner, and God damn it, I love this.
Yeah.
Just a white flower with these like purpley, browny veins. It doesn't sound that cool, but it really helps complement your bright colors.
Yeah.
So please,
very good.
Please.
Latte
I want to see
petunia.
more Latte petunia.
There's a lot of cool petunias coming out. We've gotten some new ones in, and I can't remember the names of them. But there's some cool petunias that are coming out for sure. So on my list, I rattled off some stuff we talked about earlier, some ones that I'm digging on, and a lot of it's because of the shade, but that's Begonia bolivensis, that kind of droopy, flowy, however you want to call it, weeping type begonia.
Is that the one I always struggle to find you in yellow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bossa Nova yellow. Yeah, Bossa Nova yellow.
That's another one. Growers, please. We need more like spiller type
begonias.
Yellow begonias.
What was the other one? Dragon Wing Pink is one or Dragon Wing Red. Any of the Dragon Wing begonias is another one I use in the shade a lot. These things you put them in the ground, you water them, you fertilize them, and they just get big. Just this pretty green, waxy foliage, chunky foliage, and then just a really nice flower.
Yeah, so the flowers are great, but if it's not blooming, or if it just decides it doesn't want to bloom, the foliage is fine.
Yeah, it's
more
perfectly
than fine.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Let's see. A couple of the grass-like plants that I've been digging is Nacella, which the common name is Mexican feathergrass. And I started using that last year. I think it was a suggestion by you, and freaking love it. And it's just super fine, super duper fine grass that kind of just waves like this. And you just kind of need to interplant it with some bright colors, and it just helps set things off.
Yeah, so that's one that's an annual for us, but I don't think you have to go too terribly far south to get into where it is actually a perennial that will grow.
Okay.
But
so someday soon.
Yeah. So
unfortunately.
But that was one that we both hit on is a grass.
Yeah, I used it last year. I used it intermixed with the Mystic Series dahlias. I used 3 different colors of that, which is also on our list. But it just, the dark foliage coming up with the big bright flowers amongst that like nice green grass was perfect.
If someone was to buy a Mystic Series dahlia, what's the one that you would tell them to go out and buy?
I think Mystic Illusion is the safest bet. It's just the most reliable, because I did 3 last year. I did Mystic Illusion, Mystic Spirit, and Mystic Dreamer. I
Okay.
think, and the Dreamer was the pink one, and it didn't perform that great for me. And then the Spirit was the orange one, and I think you ordered a bunch of that.
Yeah.
And that did great. That did almost as good as the Mystic Illusion. But I feel like there's a reason why the Mystic Illusion is more readily available, and it's just a really good performer.
And that's a really dark, almost black leaf with a bright, like sunflower yellow flower in the center.
It's a great contrast. Like I said, I planted it with the Nacella, and it looked cool. But that's one of those ones where you plant a bunch of that, and it does fine. You don't need anything else planted with it. It'll hold its own.
Yeah, so. I saw a bunch. They had a bunch in the trial gardens down at the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens last year. And I will say that now it's probably getting a little bit higher level of care down there. But
yeah,
all of the Mystic series that they had down there look good. So,
and
for what it's worth, they all look great.
But at PPA a couple years ago in
Asheville.
In Asheville at that one private residence. Remember the one with the big hill in the back? And in the corner, he had a whole bunch of them. And I wish I would have gotten the name of the red one he had, because that red one was fantastic.
Yeah.
So, anywho.
What else you got on there?
I was talking about grasses. The other grass I love is Vertigo pennisetum.
This is a big one.
Yeah, and that's why I just want to check that box for our viewers. It's a great annual grass that stands real tall and kind of droops over a little bit. Real dark purple leaves, but it gets every bit of 6 to 7 feet tall here.
6, 7.
Here, yeah, 6, 7. That's just been happening organically. I didn't plan that. But anyways, Amelia told me that's done. That's not cool.
I know. That's why I want to do
anymore.
it now. Is because the kids say it's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
So
she said something
now it's time for me to do it.
Okay.
Just to piss the kids off.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
I like that. I dig that.
Because that's how Addie is. It's like, that's not cool anymore. And I'm like, like, Uncle Matt, that's not cool. And I'm like, yeah, even more reason for me to do it. So because I'm not cool.
Keep it up. Yeah. Keep it up. But this Vertigo pennisetum, I believe the plant tag says 4 to 8 feet. And here in Ohio, like I said, every bit of 6 to 7 feet. And great. It needs to be a large container if you're using it in a container, but also a great like annual screen.
Yeah,
like
great screening plant or a backdrop.
Yeah.
If you want to create like a backdrop and you're going to have some taller, colorful annuals that you want to kind of pop out, like that almost black backdrop is really cool.
And I remember Kyle at work wanted some for to backdrop his annual planting last year. He's like, "Oh, what's that? What's that big purple grass?" I said, "That's Vertigo. I'll get you some." And I got him some. And when we get them in, they're in these gallon pots and they're about this tall. And he looked at it and he's like, "Nah, come on, that's not the one." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is. Just trust me." And so he puts them in the ground and you can't see them. And then like, I don't know, early July or something, I go over there. I say, "I told you."
Yeah.
It's just huge. So, so if you need some quick growth and just to make a big statement, that's just a big, bold grass-like annual. That's not, it's not showy flowers or anything. It's just all about the foliage.
Yeah.
So
heck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
What else you got on your list? Do you have anything else?
Well, I don't know where we're at with time, but let's see.
I mean, we should probably, yeah.
Okay, there was probably there's a couple on here. I'll give you a combo that I think you and I both really like.
Yeah.
And that's Chrysandra Orange Marmalade. And we talked about this one it was maybe 2 seasons ago. We did an episode all about orange plants. So it's that one, and then the Persian Shield that you mentioned earlier, Strobilanthus, bright orange leaves with like a metallic,
bright purple leaves with the metallic.
Orange?
Yeah, bright purple leaves with the metallic.
When you start putting orange and purple together, I get too excited. I forget which. I know.
I can see what's going on down there. So,
yeah, I really like purple and orange together. I think those are great colors that complement each other very well in annuals. And I find that the Chrysandra and the Persian Shield like the same light requirements.
Okay.
Because haven't you noticed that if you put the Persian Shield in full sun, it kind of just like burns a little around the edges. And
it's
I've noticed,
got to get some shade. It definitely has to get afternoon shade.
I've noticed the same thing with the Cressandra. Like they don't need full shade. They appreciate some sun, both of them, but giving them a little bit of relief just helps them look more lush. And those two colors just really bang.
Yeah. And what's wild is just the difference in one of the flower beds at work that I use a lot of the Strobelanthes in, just the difference between stuff planted kind of towards the front and 3 feet back. The difference in the plants, in height and everything, just from the sunlight and how they look. And the ones that are getting that, even though it's only 3 feet further back in, that little bit of extra shade in the afternoon just looks so much more fresh by the end of the season. But yeah, if you've got full morning sun and all afternoon shade, that would be a great one.
Perfect.
So,
and the Cressandra that I mentioned, the cultivar Orange Marmalade, like it's effing orange.
it is.
It's bright. Like
It's like tangerine orange.
There's a lot of like petunias coming out that are marketed orange,
but they have a lot of red in them.
and or like more in the yellow or like bronzy or rusty. Like it's hard to find that true bright orange.
No, it's like butterfly weed orange.
Yeah, it's like butterfly weed orange.
Yeah.
And so it's a really cool plant. And if you can and it has neat glossy leaves, and it's actually a shrub. Like it's an annual for us, but where it's hardy, it's a shrub. The foliage reminds me a lot of coffee. Have you ever seen a coffee plant?
I haven't.
With the shiny
Wait,
leaves?
yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Sure. We've sold coffee plants at Dutch Mill.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it reminds me a lot of a coffee plant as far as the foliage goes. But anyways.
Yeah. Do you have any other combos on your list there? I know you're Mr. Annual. So the reason I say that is because a large part of your job at Dublin involves annual displays. Like
I'm an annual
Riverside Crossing, Historic Dublin, you know, and these are all areas where we have like 100 planters that get filled with different annual displays 4 times a year and 3 times a year. But
then I'll do one more.
Okay.
I'll do one more and we'll be done. I have been liking the Ageratum cultivar Monarch Magic.
You know what's hilarious about that is Reagan Landon texted me last week. I think, it would have been last week, and was like, do you know where we can get Monarch Magic Ageratum?
Oh.
And it was right after we unloaded your 18 billion of them. And I'm thinking, like, is this a joke? Like, did someone say the city, like, did they call looking for it at Green Legacy? And they said,
Dublin bought it all.
And then I'm like, why? And she's like, Bob's trying to find it. And I was like, probably
a reason why.
We got some.
We got a lot.
I think we got it at Green Legacy, so you could try them. But yeah.
That was on the custom grow. So I don't know if that's something they carried normally. They custom grew that for me.
Okay.
But if you don't know Ageratum, the annual Ageratum, it's one of those great plants that just gets covered in flowers, and it's a short plant. So if you have it planted just right, like you can't even see the leaves, you can't even see the green. It's just like a sea of typically like a bluish purple. There's a white one, but if you need white for something, that's great. But like I would always choose this blue one.
Yeah. Feel like there's better options for white too.
And we've been, a lot of people in Dublin that we work with use Ageratums, but it seems like this Monarch Magic for the last few years has been the top performer.
Yeah.
So, and Monarch Magic just implies that Ageratums attract lots of butterflies, lots of pollinators, period. So, if you want to bring those things to your garden. So
nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So I'll end there. I'm digging a lot of annuals, but we'll just end there for the pollinator lovers.
Yeah.
Right.
This is going to be a hard one for me to edit up because people want pictures added into this, and there's going to be a lot of pictures. I know, but it's not the getting the photos.
I know.
It's like
I know
bringing all of that stuff in, but it's all good.
So if anyone wants to edit our podcasts for us,
if you're a professional video editor
and you want to do some
pro bono
stuff,
hit us up. No, it's all good. I'll get through it.
I mean, I guess we could pay in like chicken fingers and pizza, but like we can't pay cold hard cash.
Yeah.
We just can't.
We're trying to save up some money for some 4Ks.
We'll get there.
4Ks. So awesome, people. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I think it was very fitting for the time of year. Whether you're in Ohio, if you're north of us, south of us, it's that time of the year kind of for everybody to start thinking this stuff, or maybe you're in the middle of doing it right now, or, whatever. Hopefully you can take some of our suggestions and ideas and put them to good use. So,
and don't forget, annuals. An annual is just an N and a U away from anal.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm sure my dad will get a chuckle out of that one.
Hey, Mikey.
So, all right. Well, that does it for this week's episode, people. As always, we love y'all harder +2.
Rock on, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.